Oh, hey! Oh, hey, what's up, dudes? Alright, so, you know the drill. You know the drill, dog. We're here. We're live. We're ready. We're pumped up. Me, myself, I went and donated plasma. It was pretty fast. I finally learned after a year. I'm literally the slowest learner in the world. I'm basically one of the dumbest people on the face of the planet. Lowest IQ, etc. But I finally did figure out the right time to go. Um, which is around noon. I used to go at 9 and being there for like 3 hours. Now I go at noon and I'm out in an hour. Um, so, yeah. Anyway, we're gonna jump in where we left off yesterday. Obviously, we're not gonna pick up at a different time because that would just be retarded. So why would I even say that? Anyway, we fixed one bug and discovered another, or uncovered another, or created another. Most likely uncovered another, because as we remove bugs and the code starts to work as it should work, other code that should have been being run is now being run, and there were dormant bugs, etc., etc. So, anyway, we did a game test. We encountered the attribute error. Game object has no attribute screen surface. We stopped at line 16 and things to do. So we're gonna to that file. Oops, look at our extensions. Actually, we need to restart these extensions, and I think we actually have to restart the code editor. But yeah, I don't think we have to do that. In Galen 16, use stashes here. Easier view manage. Okay. So that's cool. Yeah, so that's pretty dope. Use the tabs above to navigate or detach the views you want to keep separated. You can regroup them anytime using the X in the view header. Okay. Alright, so this is where we stopped yesterday. We had a crash bug. Bug appeared after fixing constant waiting other player bug. Game object has an attribute screen surface. So let's go ahead and tackle that bug. Oh, and I forgot to set my timer, so let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna set for an hour, and then I'll probably go to the gym. So I do go to the gym pretty much every day. Yeah, pretty much every day. So we're gonna go to 66 minutes, and yeah. Okay, so we're gonna CD to Canasta main. We're gonna copy. We're gonna go over here and do the same thing in all three of these places. We're gonna crank up the server. Alright, now we're gonna crank up the client, and look how fast this shit is, bro. It's lightning fast. Whoa, what's going on? Okay, so we hit that bug. That music, bro. It's a banger, dude. Jason Lewis, shout out to the dude who created it. Jason Lewis, it's a banger, dude. It's a 3-hour banger, dog. 3 hours. Streaming, Python, programming, creating an online multiplayer card game, same thumbnail, 3 years straight. Let's go. Let's go. Why would I create a new thumbnail? Why would I put effort into it? Because I don't care about it. I just do it because it makes me feel better. I like to stream. It's for me, dog. Like I don't really care about it that much. It's for me. All right, so we're clicking our card. We picked a 10, but guess what, dude? The guy you're playing against is gone. He doesn't exist. And that is because client 2 is trying to, in draw window, is game dot card sprite group dot draw self screen surface. Screen service. Okay. So this is in game. So let's open up that file and let's go look at this spot. Screen service. What is this else for? So this is if game state is equal to draw one or game state is equal to waiting other player. What? How is what? Okay, so I think what's happening here is but set Pygame video mode, that's only in one place. Obviously it's not, right? It's like okay. What? Set Pygame video mode? Like what are we talking about here? How do we? Okay, I'm confused on multiple levels here. Okay. Let me just shut up and read this real quick. Okay, so we run the client. Hold up, but this might be I'm just distracted here by the fact that set Pygame video mode is not being run. I'm just like, wait, what? What is this? Like, how are we having a display without having the screen surface defined? Like, how do we draw? And how do we function with the screen surface if it's not even like a thing? Because according to this search that I did, okay, there we go. Why did that not show up before? That took a really, really, really long time to show up. Why? Why did that take so long? That's strange. Okay, here we go. So we ran setup, and if we ran setup, then that means we ran current game. Yeah, that means we ran set Pygame video mode. Unless the object that it is referring to is not actually the same object. Like that object that game object is a different game object. Like if it's referencing the other game object. Oh. Okay, I think I might have a handle on what's happening here. So like this might be, I mean, it's almost certainly because of the changes that we made in DirtCheck and stuff. Which are causing an incorrect game object reference. That's what I'm suspecting right now, because we're definitely assigning the screen surface to the current game. But if we're accessing the other game object, then that one hasn't had its screen surface created. And that's like the only explanation for this that I can think of right now. Attribute error, game object has no attribute screen surface. So this is like in draw window main, in game, and we're at, what is it, 1244, so let's go there. So yeah, we have game card sprite group draw, and we draw the self screen surface. Okay, but that's not gonna work. Well, and also game state, it should have went into this if. So I'm getting the idea here that we're dealing with the wrong game object, like, but that's gotta be it. But wait a second. Okay, so we start off. Let's start at the beginning of the traceback. We have dir check, tube sender ID, dir string, var. So the only thing that was changed was the tube sender ID, and this bug is new. So I'm assuming it has to do with the tube sender ID. Then we have 153 in dir check. So this is associated with 153 in client. So let's go over there. Where's the bookmark? So we'll do the bookmark, the control tab, and then we're gonna do, what is it? Line 153. And then let's bookmark that one. So this is associated with receiving card group data. Yeah, so this is using the wrong game object. Okay, I see. Because I get it. Okay, okay. Fuck. Well, wait a second. Shouldn't. Okay. Okay, let's think about this here. We're using game object 1 instead of 2. Because this is a shared, this is considered a shared object, the card group data, and for shared, where it's ambiguous who should send the data, because it's not associated with 1 or 2, we always let client 1 send it, which means like it's technically the tube sender ID would be 1, card group data always, but as a matter of fact, so this is an exception to the rule. The rule is we always send game data in terms of 1 to 1 and 2 to 2, because we don't send the game data to the other client. But whenever you're dealing with card group data, that is not the case. That was Voldemort. Anyway. I'm trying to think here. Get this shit out of my way. So basically we should just, I'm pretty sure I'm thinking about all the like ways that this is played out in various different scenarios, because dir check is called universally for every attribute, every data point change goes through dir check. So yeah, I'm pretty sure. I want to make sure I solve this in the correct way, not just like a quick dump fix. I really want to understand the root, like the real problem, and to figure out a proper solution. So it's good to take a extra minute and really think about it and make sure. So like, yeah, the real problem here is the fact that basically that rule is not always true. Meaning that the sender ID does not automatically correlate to the proper object that we're going to apply data to on the receiving side. So if it came from client 1, that doesn't necessarily mean game object is going to be P1 game, it could be P2 game. And in this case, that's exactly what's happening. So, like, I'm pretty sure this would be the only special case scenario, card group data. Like, skeleton player data. And skeleton player data should always correlate to like 1 and 2 correctly. Like the way that we have it coded should work correctly for skeleton player data. For clickable card list, click card list, yeah, that should work as is. Skeleton clicked card, same thing. Skeleton draw card, same thing. But then we have else, and like all these game attributes, yeah, that should work. I'm pretty sure. Like I'm 99% sure that these should all work as intended. Like it should work correctly the way it's currently coded without changing anything. And then the same thing with player, the name attribute, and that seems to be the only one. That's the only one we have like logged, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the only one that's used in that scenario. That else clause might handle other attributes that I just never, took note of. But I'm fairly confident in the idea that this is a special case scenario. Card group data, in this case, basically, we want to reassign the and I guess we could do this up here. Tube sender ID is equal to 1. So then we would say, well, actually, like, since it's such a rare, like, card group data is a rarity anyway, so instead of checking that every time, I guess we would just generically assign it, have a generic assignment, and then we would, because we don't want to check it, like, every time. It's like checking for, a guy with a polka dot hat at the airport every time in the TSA. Like, you don't look at the slip of paper and say check for the polka dot hat. Every person that passes, like, you just kind of wait for the polka dot hat to show up. You know what I mean? And then, like, then you're like, okay, now we're gonna deal with this fucking guy. So yeah, we will just, in the case that it is card group data, we're going to reassign the game, card group data is game. Well, yeah, because we use the game object here, right? Yeah, we use the game object. So we would then say game object equals, well, in this case, we would need the current client ID. Yeah. In this case, we need the current client ID. Ain't that a bitch? I gotta use the bathroom, sorry. I'll be right back. Okay, my dudes. Alright, we're back. Let's see what we're doing here. Okay. So this is really actually gonna piss me off because well, now we need the now we need the client ID. So yeah, we need the client ID in this case. Um, like we don't use the sender ID in this case. In this case, we would just use whatever the current client ID is. So if it's if we're operating from client 1, we would use P1 game. Otherwise, we would use P2 game. It has nothing to do with who's sending it. And we can't, like, it's not necessarily going to be the opposite. You know, if the tube sender ID is 1, the game object, we might be on client 1, we might be on client 2, so it could be 1 or 2. So we can't, like, you know, use something clever. We just basically have to hard code in the client ID, which means we would have to add in another parameter, which I didn't, you know, whatever. I was trying to like cut down the parameters, but oh well. Life goes on. You don't always get what you want. In fact, very rarely you get what you want. And we'll just say the client ID. The client's ID. The client that called the dircheck's ID. Yeah, I think that's right. So now we have to. This is an easy fix. This is nothing, dude. Go here, and we're gonna add in current client ID. So now we have current client ID, tube sender ID. What the hell? So now we have the client ID, tube sender ID. Why? Because I put a dot instead of a comma. Alright, so we have current client dot ID. Now we just need to go down here and we'll say if client ID is equal to 1, then game object equals P1 game. And then we just have else here, which is like saying elif client ID is equal to 2, then game object is equal to P2 game. So if client ID is equal to 1, game object equals P1 game, and if else, which is elif client ID is equal to 2, game object equals P2 game. So then we just have our own special game object, and we'll always call the one associated with the current client. Bam. So that should do the trick. So let's test that theory. So let's go ahead and run the server, run the client. And everything's working, bro. Looks like we cracked the code on this one. That was easy though. Still showing that he picked a queen. We're gonna have to fix that. Like we get it. We get it, man. He picked a queen. Yeah, he did. He did. Like, yeah, that was a while ago, bro. Times have changed. We're moving on. Okay. Look at this. Look at how fast it is. Bam, 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 bam. Boom. Oh, you gotta click it. Used to be able to hit enter right there, but I changed it. I don't know why. I did things because they were things. Ooh, he got 3 black 3s. Not a good look, dude. Not a good look, big dog. Not a good look, big dude. Negative 525 points. Yeah, that we gotta fix that. Okay, so it's working. No bugs. Well, define bugs. Okay, define it. Current issue crash bug solved, my dude. Easy money. Easy money, dude. Fixed crash bug. And what am I? Yeah, fixed crash bug. Tested via game test, and everything is working correctly. And that was 308 to 342. And why am I so tired? Because I drank coffee, and I'm just like always tired, bro. Fuck. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just work too hard. Maybe it's from sitting. It makes me tired when I code. It's kind of boring. Probably plasma lacking in like nutrient stuff that I ate. And drank a little bit of coffee, and it's like I can't really take any more at this point. It's too late for me to do any of that. I can drink a little bit, tiny little bit of coffee, and after that, it's like I'm done. All right, so we got 34 minutes left. Let's smash through this. What's our next task? Other client bool dead check code. Realized we don't send game data to other client, therefore don't for it in various places in dir check. Okay, so let's do a project search for other client bool. Other client bool mentioned. Bro, this shit's man, it's nice. Okay, if other client bool is equal to false and so they blah, 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 it's not what we're looking for. Okay, here we go. Like right here, we don't need to check for this because we never receive game data in terms of other client. So yeah, I'm 99% certain that's true because um it's in the time tube, right? It has to do with the time tube. Is that right? Time tube. There's a let me find it. Okay, so we're just gonna find this section. I'm not gonna look for oh yeah, I forgot to remove my you control alt N so we can get rid of that. Okay, so that was it. Here we go. So let's put our bookmark here, and we can just do Control 1. I gotta start doing that more often. It's faster than clicky. And then to go, like, so what are we doing now? Okay, that's right. In client, we're looking for I can just like I kind of know where it is. I just scroll through it and I can find it. This is the send set. We're in the wrong. Okay, we need. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Wait, what? Wait, we removed. We don't have that section anymore. Wait, why did we? Okay, yeah, we don't have that section on client. I'm tripping. It's server side because yeah, client side we only send to the corresponding like client 1 to 1, 2 to 2. We don't. So it's the server. I'm sorry, I was just looking in the wrong file. So we're looking for send section here. Okay, here we go. Right here. Send ID, send a storage state. Serialize data. Here we go. If tup1 is equal to game, this is what I was looking for. But why was I looking for this? Like, I know the general idea, but why specifically? Like, what was the point of coming and looking at this? If tup1 is equal to game, Yeah, we removed the game attributes, duh. Okay, but why? Other client bool. So let me bookmark this. Oh, like what was that even? Second bool is equal to false. Oh, right. Okay, I remember now. I was looking to see if I could find the list of like attributes, but it's all game attributes actually. Okay, so we actually changed this. It's any game attributes, so we don't have to like wonder. So if we're dealing with game attributes, we're never gonna send to the other client that data. Like if we're handling a game attribute, we're never gonna send that attribute data to the other client. Therefore, we don't need to check an other client bool. So that means we also need to take care of if game object time click card is less than receive timestamp float. Okay, so that's all we need to check. We don't need anything from other client bool. Okay, so this needs to be changed, this logic. So instead of checking if other client bool, we should instead check to see if the what do you call it, dir string, whatever, is game or player. If it's not equal to game, then that means we don't have to check other client bool. But if it's player, we do, because we do send player data in terms of other client. So this is going to be changed to bro, this dude. So if dir string is equal to game, then we would just check if the adder name string is in the time tube, and then if it is, we would get that timestamp, and then yeah, and then we have else, which would apply to player. Okay, so this is kind of muddied here. Yeah. This is really simple, but it's really ugly. If directory is equal to game, we have if adder name string is in client time 2. Game, if adder name string is in client time 2, and then if true, we don't need to worry about that. Then we check the timestamp, and then we have else. And so in this case, we would just set apply data equal to true. An if clause which shows all the adders this else clause accounts for. All the adders that are both not handled by their own elif clause above or not in the time tube. And that only, as far as we know, applies to the player name attribute. So like, this section probably wouldn't even be used after we like move this. So then we'll say now we're gonna do elif dir string. Yeah, this is gonna be ugly, but we'll get it right. Just gotta start typing, you know? Just gotta start typing sometimes. Well, you know what? I'm like, wait a second. Like, Well, if the other client bool is not like the primary determiner, it shouldn't be the primary spot. You know, like the most prominently encountered scenario would not be relying on other client bool. It would almost always be game data, which would insinuate that other client bool would be false. So like we wouldn't want that in the prime spot. It's more of just like a it's not, I don't know exactly how to describe what concept I'm applying here, but it's just like common sense, I guess. It's like you put the king in the king spot. You don't put the, you know, 3 in the king spot. Yeah. So anyway, gesture is equal to game, and then we get rid of this altogether. And this checks to see if adder name string is in client time tube to determine if we need to check the time tube timestamp. Okay, if name is not in the list, that means you do not need to check the time tube timestamp because the value is not modified on the. Okay, section doesn't handle player or decked strings because none of their attributes exist in the time digged. That's like irrelevant. So if dir is equal to bro. So they got a girl, right? There's this girl, right, dude? Man. Like I don't even know the girl. I would like to know the girl. You know what I'm saying? I think I would like to know the girl. I could be wrong. But this girl, man. Wow. Anyway, if dir is equal to game, if adder name string is in client time tube, then we say if true. So if adder name string is in client time tube, then we check the timestamp, then we set apply data to false. Okay. And then else apply data is going to be true. Well, we don't even need an else. It would just like remain true. So like we literally don't even need this. And then so we can just like we can smarten this up a little bit. We can do and we can just do and dir is equal to game, because like apply data is set to true. The only time apply data gets set to false is if adder name string is in client time tube and the dir is equal to game. You know what I'm saying? Like we could even do a triple and. We could just say if dir is equal to game and adder name string in client time tube, and then we could say and, but we don't want a triple and because that just is hard to read. Oops. So I don't like hard to read code. So yeah, if dir is equal to game and adder name string is in client time tube, 2 clauses together is good, but like 3 is, it's kind of a lot to read in my opinion. I'm sure people would disagree and be like, oh, put it on one line, it's better. So I disagree personally. I have a small brain, so maybe that's why. If true, so this tells us all of the blah blah blah. Then we have the get adder, receive token float. So then we have elif dir string is equal to player. If the other client bool is equal to true, well, we don't even need to check for that because apply data is already set to true. So we would actually check for if other client bool is, well, like why would we? So, well, there is no timestamp for this because it's not modified client side. So actually, like, we don't apply data would never get set to false. So like, we don't even need this at all. Like, none of this. We just need, like, we don't need this. Bam. That's simple, right? Am I wrong here? Let me go back to how I had it. Let's see, how did I have it before I touched it? Let's see. Yeah, that's it. The only time this is ever set to false is one place. So we can just redo all these changes. True. False? What? You tell me what? I said true, you said false. Apply data is equal to true initially, then we check thirst is equal to game adder name in client time 2. Okay. If it is, then we check the, yeah, and I'm gonna put this below. How about that? Here we go. Check see if the adder name string is in client time 2 to determine if we need to check time 2. Comes out on this list. Means we do not need to check the time 2 times because the value is not modified on the client side. Therefore, we would always apply that data. Alright. And then if apply data is still true after that, then yeah. Okay, yeah, so we're refactoring in accordance with the other client bool thing. So like, we don't check. So we just say checks to see if adder name string is in time 2. Yeah, we don't even need that. Like, we don't need to describe that at all. Well, we can leave this, but we'll put it on as an inline comment, a much shorter one like this. Maybe I do that. Sets the variable apply data equal true if adder name string is not in time 2. If header name string is in the time tube and local timestamp is later. Let's see. Sets the variable apply data equal to true. If let's see, hold on. Sets the variable apply data equal to true. Fucking sleepy dog. I got 8 minutes left. I'm gonna drink a little bit more coffee, and I can't even like say words, mixing my words together here. Sets the variable apply data equal to true if header name string is in time tube and local timestamp is later than inc data received timestamp float. Apply data is set to false. If header name string is in the time tube and the local timestamp is later than the inc data received timestamp float, apply data is set to false, and we do not apply inc data. Okay, fair. Boom. Done. Cool. Apply data equals true. That's correct. And then check see if header name string is I mean, this is kind of redundant, like we don't really need, we can just get rid of that comment. Dirt is equal to game. Or we'll just say, really, this is for below section, because this is describing what happens in multiple lines. Okay, so let's read this. Change from less than to greater than to have the opposite effect for less lines and better logic. If the incoming received timestamp float is less earlier than the local current timestamp, which would be greater and later, we do not apply inc data. Correct. So then we say if get adder of game object time plus adder name string is greater than received timestamp float, apply data is equal to false. Correct. Because if the local timestamp is greater or later than the incoming received timestamp float, we don't apply the data. Correct. Then we have the list of attributes that this section handles. Then we have if apply data is equal to true and it is at the correct indentation level and all that. Read the comment. Assigns the instance object to the associated objects class object to the associated objects class object for reference during the timestamp comparison and or data assignment. The isInstance method has to check the class object, not the instance object, for the method to work. Is that true? Yeah, I think we did verify all that. We tested all this code, so I'm not gonna mess with that. Okay. Do we need? All right, so I think we're good here. And now let's finish wrapping up the other client bool stuff. So let's do first. Let's get rid of this. Now we're gonna do Control-Alt-N to go to the next one. Tube1 is equal to game. What is this? Threaded client on server. Okay, yeah, we don't need that bookmarked anymore. Alright, so let's keep going with the We got 3 minutes left here. So this is for game. So I don't think we need to. We don't need to check for that. Checks for the special case skeleton clickable card list, skeleton clicked cards list. Creates a shortened card group name without skeleton. Checks the current client's timestamp. Checks the current client's timestamp against the ink data. Checks the current client's timestamp against the ink data received timestamp float. If ink data received timestamp float is later greater, applies data change data in this method call. Okay. Pattern name string is equal to skeleton clickable card list. Associated timestamp equals game object time clickable card list. So that should be right. Else the pattern name string is equal to skeleton clicked cards list. Associated timestamp equals game object time clicked cards list. Okay. Now, we see if other client bool is equal to false, so we don't need to check this anymore. So now we would always check the timestamp. So then we just would say if associated timestamp is less than the incoming received. So if the associated timestamp, the local, is less or before the greater than and later received timestamp float, we would apply the data. Local is lesser earlier than the incoming. If local is lesser earlier, yeah, that's fair. That's good. Okay, so that part's done. So I'm like, wait, do we not need the other client bool at all? At least on client we don't. Hold up. Okay, so now I don't think we actually need the other client bool at all. Like at all. We might not need it ever. Yeah, that's it. That's the only place. Like if we don't access it anywhere else. You know what I mean? Like. So I'm pretty sure we can just completely remove the other client bool arg like altogether. So this is great. This is great news. I'll put this as a note right here. So we stopped at line 131 in client pi. So let's say stopped at line number 131 in client pi, and this was 343 to 420. Began removal of certain logic associated with other client bool. Okay. So this was 1 hour and 18 minutes, or I'm sorry, 1 hour and 12 minutes. We'll just say 1.25 hours. We're 3 minutes off, close enough. Yeah, so this was a good session. I think we can remove this other client bool arg, and this is like getting really cleaned up at this point. This project is like becoming clean. It's becoming like bug free. It's really turning out pretty nice. Other than, you know, some aesthetics and the way the progression text displays is out of sync with what's actually going on, and we have that ghost card movement at the top. But like literally, other than those two aesthetic bugs, like we don't really, unless I just created some more bugs, we don't really have any more bugs, and we're running out of like tasks, at least important tasks, and it's exciting, man. So we're basically like, you know, we're really getting there. I'm happy. So we're gonna go to the gym, and when I come back, maybe I'll do another hour, and yeah, start knocking out, finish our pressing issues list, and then we can move on to the non-pressing and just like hopefully fly through most all of that until we get down to the last, you know, two things: the perfect save system and the game menu screen and all that shit. And then like, yeah, so getting there, getting close, guys. Anyway, all right, take it easy, have a good evening if I don't see you. If I do, see you later.